We've got a special guest today, Amit, CEO and founder of Richpanel.
Thank you for having me.
We want to jump in and talk about customer experience. I've got a number of questions on how it relates to retention and revenue generating CX touchpoints that many brands I don't think are thinking about.
Cody, you owe me a tattoo.
I don't really remember this.
I have it on Slack, I have it in writing. He made a bet. Cody, please tell us.
He's like, yeah, I think we can cut like 500K, 600K a year for you guys. And I'm like, dude, if you can do that, I'll get a tattoo.
You said that you were heavily inspired by Uber's help desk experience when building Richpanel. So what about Uber's customer experience really stood out to you?
I was able to dispute a cancellation fee in literally 15 seconds and I got a refund immediately. So that was the aha moment for me. And I was like, hey, why can't we create a SaaS?
We've actually shifted it from marketing to reporting to ops. And I think it's been a good move. We're probably half the CX team size that we were a year ago. Just like music to my ears.
The number of people you need to run the CX, that's gone down dramatically. People are using AI to do a lot of the back end stuff.
All right, we are back with another episode of Marketing Operators. We've got a special guest today, Amit, CEO and founder of Richpanel, beloved sponsor. Amit, thanks for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
100%. We've got, we're a little bit in closer proximity than we typically are. Connor Rowland, you're out in LA this week. How's it going?
It's good. Yeah. We're hatching our final, I wouldn't say hatching our final Black Friday plans, more so making sure Jason is aware of what we're planning to do this week. But yeah, we got the whole, we got all the growth leadership out here. So it's been fun to get everyone in the same room. It's been a while since we've done that. And it's a fun time of year to do it. We're 2.5 weeks out from our big moment. So it's fun to be together.
If you want Jason for meetings, you have to show up to the golf course.
Pretty much. Or you got to show up right to the office. Him and Sean and Matt and Katie and Maytab, who else was here? Jeremy Thurswell was here. They're all just hanging out, shooting the shit yesterday in the back room here. I'm I just swore we have to bleep that one out. I can't sit here and hang. Connor, I texted you guys. You're like, hey, I'm working today. I'm like, so am I. This is our time, right? I'm not hanging out back there shooting the crap as much as they are. But yeah, it was good to see everyone here in the office yesterday.
Dude, they're the best. Yeah, Sean sent me an invite. It was something like hang and chat Q4. And I was like, hang and chat Q4? I'm like, it's October 29th. I'm like, we're in the thick of it.
I walked in and they were talking about AI powered creative. And I'm like, I'm going to leave, guys. I gotta go do stuff.
Yeah, everyone thinks the CEO job is so hard. It's not. It's you just have your teams, you have the CMO, the head of growth prepping for Q4, and you just get to go to Dodgers games and play golf and talk shit.
That's funny. I did. Here's an incredibly first world problem, but I made it to the Dodger game on Monday with Sean. And I was so stressed going into it. I just have so much work to do this week, already kind of behind the ball on stuff. And I was like, I'm going to try to take it easy. It'll be the 2.5 hour game. I'll have one beer. I'll be back by 8:30. I'll get some work done tonight. Not at all the case. Historic 18 inning game. I'm at Dodger Stadium till 12:30. I get 4 hours of sleep. I'm back up at 5:30 in the morning the next day, grinding it out. So yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week, but that's Q4. All right, sweet. We want to jump in and talk about customer experience. I've got a number of questions on how it relates to retention, and I want to talk about revenue generating CX touchpoints that many brands I don't think are thinking about. Ridge hasn't been for a long time, and they've kind of been on my radar. I think it'll be a fun episode. But before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion, Richpanel, Prescient, Aftersell, and House, so we can get right into it here.
So I don't know about you guys, but we are fully locked in on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and holiday sale at HexClad. Motion is, as always, a very big part of this. We do a ton of just iterations on evergreen ads with Black Friday sale banners. So we're just taking literally our top performing ads from the entire year, slapping a banner on them. And that's at least one part of our content stack for BFCM. So easy just to use Motion to look at last 90, last 6 months, year to date, which ads are getting us the best efficiency, which ads are getting us the best scale. it's like a really quick and easy way to pull that report in motion and then come up with just a bunch of overlays onto your evergreen ads. That's one way we're using motion as we head into the peak season for us. The other way we're using it is for more like instantaneous feedback. So we're saying, hey, we did that. We also shot and produced all these seasonal ads. So which ones are performing best? And then we'll iterate on those like during BFCM. So all of this is getting powered by motion reports. It's just the quickest, the easiest way to see what's working, what's not. Connor, how are you guys using motion at Ridge to inform your Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and holiday ad decisions?
We're in a similar headspace. We did an exercise that I was calling a bottoms-up planning this year, where we granularly looked at what worked at what times throughout, late October, November, December last year. That all comes from analyzing our creative. So we got that foundational approach of what are the things we want to be prioritizing? And then we can get into the fact of what are the new things that we want to be trying this year. And motion really kind of led point on a lot of that analysis.
Cody, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. Like we'll have everybody propose their strategy and their plan, but like there should be no reason to start from scratch. Like there's no, blank page. I think you got to hit that like 80-20 of explore and exploit. But I think for exploiting, like you got to look at what's performed well. And, we try to have a lot of warm-up points. Like we will have like a holiday kits launch soon. We have Labor Day. We have last Black Friday. So we just build a report of all of them. We just see what traits perform well, anything that you can filter by name and convention. So we don't have to start with a blank screen. And then we're able to just get more pinpointed in our strategy, hopefully each launch.
And lastly, one thing I really, really appreciate about motion is you don't need to like be this expert in how to use the tool. Like they're very good at getting you onboarded, getting your data ingested and connected, and then training you on exactly how to use the tool. So if you've been dragging your feet, it's time to get going with motion. Head over to motionapp.com.
I kind of want to kick us off with discussing what a modern CX team might look like today and what are the workflows. So Amit, I'll hand it to you first. You obviously see more CX teams than anybody else on this call. We've all only got one. You've probably got hundreds. So how would you answer that question today around how a modern CX team looks and feels?
I would say that the things haven't changed much. Like they still report into operations as they rightfully should. There's like, I know that, in the initial notes, you discussed whether they should report into marketing versus they should report into operations. I feel like the CX is so dependent on operations. Like if anything goes wrong in fulfillment, anything goes wrong in inventory, they are flooded with tickets and it's usually the operations team that they have to go back to. So they both go hand in hand. That hasn't changed. But one thing that has definitely changed is the number of people you need to run the CX team. That's gone down like dramatically. People are using AI to do like a lot of the back end stuff. It's not there where it started to like do end-to-end customer service for you. It can probably do it for like tier 1 tickets. But when it comes to like workflows that involve like involving multiple people or getting approval from someone, that is still pretty human dependent. But what have people done is like they've realized what are those tier 1 tickets where people are spending like a lot of time on, and how can we completely take that off their bucket. So the teams have become like way leaner. Another thing that has also happened is they've started to do things which was previously not possible, right? Like in the case of Ridge, you guys had this beautiful thing where you would label a negative customer CSAT, right? Like you would have like someone dedicated that is going in there and tagging and labeling every complaint that you got from CX, compiling that into insights and then sending it to you and Sean at the end of the week. Now that's become possible for every team to do, no matter what the size is. But you're now able to like read tickets in bulk, like hundreds of thousands of tickets, put them into categories and, give that insights to the CEOs and the CMOs, which was not previously possible. So those are the changes we are seeing.
I agree with that. We've actually shifted it from marketing to reporting to ops, and I think it's been a good move. Obviously, Amit knows, like he works closely with our team, but I think it's been a good move. I think it's been a lot more efficient because so many of the tickets are that's the majority of it is where's my order, or it's something wrong with the order. There's very little that's like needed from a marketing perspective, and yeah, we're probably half the CX team size that we were a year ago. Which is awesome, and just saw like our budget for next year for it, and I think our like senior director of ops who oversees CX thinks we can make it work with the same team size we have now, which is like music to my ears.
Yeah, Cody, you owe me a tattoo. He bet me
A
He
tattoo?
bet me. Yeah, he said
Sorry,
that if
man,
he
my-
saved him,
Dude, Cody, what are you doing?
if
What bet did
he
you
made a
make?
bet on. Yeah, Cody, please tell us what's the bet.
I don't really remember this.
I have it on Slack. I have it in writing.
He's got a screenshot.
I remember it was like holiday. It was like I was in Miami at my brother-in-law's house.
This explains everything. You could just stop there. I was in Miami.
Well, hold on, it gets better. And I see Maytab tweeting about CX and Richpanel and like some efficiency changes they made. So I asked Maytab. He's like, "Yeah, you should ask Amit." And we were like already on Richpanel and stuff. And so I started bugging Amit about it. And I'm just like, "Hey, like how can we cut costs? How can we save? How can we improve our program?" He's like, "Well, you got to get the self-service up and running. You got to do this stuff. Like we've been telling your team about it, and other stuff, and some just like org changes." And he's like, "Yeah, I think we can cut like 500K, 600K a year from for you guys." And I'm like, "Dude, if you can do that," I probably said like, I feel like what I usually say jokingly is like, "I'll name my next kid after you." But maybe I said I'll get a tattoo, which I don't know why. I don't remember that. I can look back to Slacks, but I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I love you, but
Yeah, he tried to get away by putting like a sticker on his Rivian, and I'm like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
on
I
just
know
like
that.
this degenerative gambling streak, apparently.
No, that one, it was out of nowhere. Maytab just like made that up out of nowhere. There was like no bet behind that one.
Yeah.
Connor, do you guys have CX reporting into ops as well at HexCloud?
We don't. We actually have
There we
CX
go.
reporting into our chief info and admin officer, and he has like a bunch of different like not, I don't want to say random, but like he owns like a bunch of different like very, I guess, kind of unrelated parts of the org. But yeah, we have like a very senior CX lead that reports into him right now.
Okay, interesting. Because I don't know. I'm split on where it should roll up into the org. Historically, it's been an ops function. It became a marketing function last summer, 2024. I'm kind of a proponent of it now. And let me tell you guys quickly my vision for CX. And you guys could tell me if you think it should be rolling into marketing or not. The first one is very operational oriented, where we just want to lean out the team. So that was when we switched to Richpanel. Summer 2024, we wanted to optimize and automate and just make the team as lean as possible. But then my two things are, one, how does that CX team and function become a resource for the rest of the organization? So how are we compiling all the information? They are on the front lines of talking to customers, hearing about problems, getting feedback. How are we making that valuable to marketing or to product or to ops, I guess? But they're probably third on that list. And then the last one is, I think there's a lot of opportunities to generate revenue from CX related touch points. So what we have now is we have our VP of marketing sitting over retention, partnerships, organic social, retention, and CX. I think those are all very own channels. And my plan for 2026 is for those to work in tandem much closer. So that's almost where I want the tighter feedback loop being versus a tighter feedback loop between ops, because I think there could be a dotted line that's just like, hey, yeah, figure out why our shipping times are slowing down or whatever. So that's my pitch to you guys as to why CX should be more of a marketing function. But Amit, you're not buying it. You're not believing that CX should be a marketing function.
Yeah, I don't have like a very strong opinion. I'm just wondering if you feel that way, because Sean is like outsourcing more and more responsibilities to you. So it's more a function of you than the overall org, which happens with me too. Like if I had this like really good account exec that I promoted to like head of sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that he was very good with onboarding customers and taking care of them, even months after he's closed the sale. So I'm like, hey, why don't you become like head of revenue, right? Like, why don't you even take care of customer success and sales? So both roll on to you. But that's very specific to that individual. But that does not become prescription that this is how you should run a SaaS company for everyone else. So when I met with Sean a couple of times, he will tell me like, oh, I'm putting corner here, I'm pulling corner here. So it's more a function of you understanding operations and you having enough cycles to put in like other areas where you're advocating for that. I feel like the dotted line reporting for the other org should be with marketing, where you are like, hey, give me these insights on a weekly basis as to what's happening. And marketing is supposed to give you like forecasted revenues or forecasted orders, what the predicted spend is, so they can do the capacity planning accordingly. But on a day-to-day basis, imagine like something happens, something goes wrong on the warehouse, something like, you're not working on a weekend, or you don't have enough capacity, or you got like a surge of orders, or you need approvals. Maybe, you have like a threshold of how much refunds can you do. Like, usually it is like, hey, 3% refunds on a day. I'm just making stuff up. But now it's going like to 4.5% on a particular day because we just shipped a lot which was not good from the manufacturer. So you got to like now talk to someone from the warehouse, or like do something like 45 times a day or 450 times a day. They're not going to ping marketing. They need to ping ops into like what's happening at the warehouse. What can we change here? Or something broke at the warehouse, so we are routing the shipments over here. So this is the communication you need to make to your people. So that's like more on a daily basis that you need to coordinate between the two teams. Hence the thing that it needs to report to operations. That's my view. But every org operates differently. I think yours is a special case where you are taking on more and more of the ops. You're more like a COO than a CMO, in my view. Same thing is happening with like Cody. Like he was a CMO and then he became like the CEO. So like everything is falling under him.
I like what you're saying. I'm hearing overworked. I'm hearing potential promotion. I'm hearing raise.
I think that's part of it, because we had it under marketing, and I think definitely just with like your role, like you're definitely involved in probably more than most CMOs, and maybe what most CMOs should. But like I know you're involved with product dev. You went to China recently, did some factory stuff. So like I do think like saying like you are wearing more hats. And I think it depends, and I am curious to hear more. I think I don't personally buy that it's like this big revenue driver. I see it more as a cost center. Personally, and by the way, we actually have shade matching on ours, and so we do have a team of people that are legit shade matching, and that's more of a revenue one. We have it under ops. We moved it under ops as we had some restructuring, partly because I was like, hey, I have too many things on my plate. I have too many direct reports. Our only other C-suite is a COO. So I'm like, let me put it under her, because like she's strong. She can just handle more workload and responsibility. So I think some of it was a strategic decision of like, I think it actually should work closer under ops for the reasons Amit's saying. And some of it is like, hey, who do I have on my team that is strong and can absorb more responsibility? And we just had a senior director of ops under her who has also overseen CX. But I do think so. I think our numbers are like the best it's been. I don't know if this is anything, but like our CSAT is better than it's been, partly because we're just, what you measure gets managed, and we're just actually giving KPIs to the agents as well. But it's the highest it's been, and I think something is working right. It's the best it's been with the least number of people. But I don't buy the whole like revenue Zappos type thing. I haven't been made a strong believer in that.
Black Friday, you're about to crush it. The real job is keeping that momentum going past Black Friday, past holiday, and all the way into next year. Prescient helps brands turn peak season wins into predictable, profitable velocity. Powered by a suite of proprietary machine learning models and a causality-first validation layer, Prescient reveals what actually drove lift. It combines surveys, it combines multi-touch attribution and incrementality, and then it forecasts where your next dollar of media will drive real incremental profit. Top brands like Coterie, Guess, Hexclad, Jones Road Beauty, Mary Roos, and many more are using Prescient to quantify halo effects across Shopify, Amazon retail, so their teams know exactly where to reinvest. So what actual questions can Prescient help you answer? Let's dig into it a little bit. Question number 1. Do I need to increase, decrease, or reallocate spend for the shopping season? Prescient shows the optimal media mix to drive the strongest Q4 performance, whether your budget grows or shrinks. Question number 2. Where should I put additional Q4 budget? Prescient delivers recommendations based on current BFCM dynamics, your vertical, and your optimal ad spend allocation. Question number 3. Can Prescient measure cross-channel effects, especially between Shopify and Amazon? Yes, Prescient uniquely tracks halo effects and ad impact across both platforms, revealing where to dial back and where to double down. This is actually one of the very first problems that Hexclad onboarded with Prescient to solve, is understanding the total impact across both .com and Amazon over ad spend. Prescient's models are benchmarked against $6 billion in ad spend, so the recommendations you are getting aren't just theory. They've actually been tested against billions of real media dollars. And if you're ready to see where your next dollar of media will drive the most profit, visit prescientai.com/operators to forecast your growth with Prescient. Do you have Connor, I'm curious, since it still is under marketing for you, because one thing I feel like with our CX team is, this isn't like, we definitely get input from them and then we take that input and action it, but I think that could be better. I feel like most of the time when marketing and growth specifically are interacting with CX, it's like marketing trickling down something we're doing. So it's like, hey, we have this sale period going on. Here's all the details. We have this new product drop coming out. Here's all the details. We have this campaign going on. Here's all the details. They're ingesting that information so then they can, field tickets effectively. One thing I think we need to do better is having it come in reverse, where it's like,
Right.
hey, CS or CX is getting this insight, and then they're bringing it to marketing so that we can get in front of it in our ads or our emails or whatever. It depends on what the issue is that they're bringing up. I feel like that could be better. And honestly, that's probably just like me needing to spend more time with our CX lead and like allocating at least once a month to like get information. But I feel like that could be a case for it being under marketing, is that
Totally.
like that's more of a two-way street, I would say. And like, do you guys feel like you have CS or CX like bringing insights to your like creative team or retention team, and then they're actually able to like put that in the front end of your marketing?
So that's kind of step 2 of my plan. I think we're in the middle of that now. Like we just got on our all hands yesterday, we had a report from our director around some of the issues that we're seeing, some of the improvements that we're seeing, things like that. So I like that, that forcing function pushing back to marketing and being updated. It's one of the reasons why I think if you think about common CX issues or places for improvement or whatever else, it's going to be heavily retention dependent, where it's like, how are we updating welcome series or post-purchase flows or welcome series flows or transactional flows, things like that. Email, SMS, if you're having issues, you need to communicate with customers. Like that's often happening via a Klaviyo or a PostScript. So that's why I like those channels sitting underneath our VP of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
E-com's the other really big one, right? Like having a really tight feedback loop between CX and e-com. So questions are being reflected in FAQs, or if there's issues on the site, we're getting those resolved as quickly as possible. So that is, those are a number of reasons. So it being a resource, step number 2 in my plan for CX at Ridge. I do hear Amit's point though, that really on a day-to-day basis, I guess it is probably closer to a ops function, especially when you start thinking about projecting resources. Like we're going into Q4, we staffed up over the last couple of weeks. Like that is all very inventory planning, finance dependent. Look, like I said, I was split on it coming into it.
It depends as well. Like again, I think it depends on the org, and it can go better either way. Now I'm like almost playing devil's advocate and thinking of things that are like maybe slightly worse off as you're talking through it. Like one, and Amit, I'm really curious to ask your perspective, right? I remember Sean said this on an episode of Operators. He's like, everyone has their bias, and like if you ask a director at CX, like what you should do to improve the business, they're going to be like, hey, we should stop running ads because like you'll get less tickets if you do that.
Totally.
And so like yesterday, our senior director of ops is like, hey, I want to explore putting the widget, the self-serve widget across the whole site. And I'm like, I'm hesitant to do that, especially around holidays. Like, yes, I know that would help with our response times and more tickets. Like, what's that going to do to conversion rate? And granted, like, I also think it doesn't matter where they are, because as long as you have like the right decision-making structure, like I'm going to decide on that anyways. But I think that would be one that if ops team was just like, yeah, let's do it. That helps our ops side. Like that's obviously a huge no-no. And maybe that should be rolling up into marketing because most sites are under marketing. Ultimately, like we have it fine either way. But I mean, what have you seen for that? Like, have you seen any brands actually test the conversion rate using IntelliGems or something else of a self-service widget, or are most of them just deploying it without testing?
Yeah, I agree with your feedback that everyone has their own biases. Just yesterday, we had the CS team come to us and say that, hey, we should not be creating Slack channels we have these shared Slack channels for customers we onboard. So we have with you, Ridge, we have with Jones Road, and now we are up to 1,000 Slack channels. So it's like a lot of noise, and we have to scale more. So they are like, hey, we should probably not create Slack channels for everybody. I'm like, where is that coming from? Like, is it helpful for the customers? Probably not. Removing that one communication channel. So they're like, oh, can we do it only if customers are paying like more than $1,000 a month? Should we have that Slack channel? And I'm like, absolutely not. Right? Like you need to think from first principle basis, because that will be your guiding principle in everything. Like from a customer's point of view, what you're doing, is it good for me? If the answer is no, probably don't do it. So going back to your point, Cody, in the event, there are two things, right? Like if you put the self-service widget on the website on every page, 70%, 80% of the traffic is mobile. If it starts to cover your add to cart or cover any of the other CTAs, because you're not designing the whole web page thinking that there'll be widgets on top of it, right? So that's obviously going to be like negatively affecting your CRO. But the best way to do it is put it like a button, like a navigation button, just like Amazon does it or Uber does it. Like if I go to the Uber Help Center on desktop, there is a widget that will be like hovering that you can contact on. But on mobile, it's in the navigation menu. Like you click on the navigation and you then click help or support, and then the whole thing opens up. So, just from first principle basis, it's going to have like zero impact on your CRO, right? I don't need to A/B test it. If a customer wants to contact, it's very intentional. It's not distracting them from their purchase journey. They're going on the navigation menu and they're clicking support or they're clicking help. So we don't need to like A/B test it. And then I'm giving them the options to like look at their orders, track, do returns, do cancellations, change or edit an order. That's all available inside that menu. So that is an obvious journey for us.
Yeah, for that, you might not need an A/B test. For adding a button on mobile across every page, if there's even a chance that I would allow my team to do it, it's 100. It has to be A/B tested. That one scares the crap out of me. So that's why I'm just curious if you've seen or had data. Have either of you guys tested that? Any type of widget or like a self-serve or a chat?
We haven't. Well, we have self-serve popping up on the help pages, so it's similar to what Amit described. We didn't test it, but if you're down in the support pages, then it begins kind of surfacing there. So that makes total sense. But like we had this was probably 4 years ago or something, but our director of ecom, like our CX manager went to our director of ecom and was like, hey, I want to put this big button on the site that floats around everywhere. And then we did it one day and I go on the site and I'm like, what are we even thinking? Like, this is just massively intrusive. So I, at the very least, agree with you. I don't even know if we'll ever test it, but at the very least, we would have to test it. Something I'm not confident would be a net positive necessarily.
Oh yeah, we had one old CX person who was like, I think we were having some like, address order, issues, like people putting the wrong address for stuff. So it was like, we should add a checkbox before they order that they like have to like, commit. I'm like, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
So Amit, you bring up the Uber help desk. I was doing my research coming into this interview. And you said that you were heavily inspired by Uber's help desk experience when building Richpanel. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
So what about Uber's customer experience like really stood out to you? Or like, what do you guys try to emulate? That's not a common point of inspiration, I don't think.
Yeah. So I just have an example to share from like yesterday. I ordered a display, like a external portable display for my laptop. And I had it delivered to Olivia's address. Olivia lives in Brooklyn, but we were both attending a show yesterday, like a trade show. So, I go to the tracking page and it says that it's going to be delivered when she's not at home and the signature is required. So if you want to remove the signature, you pay like, some $16 or $17. So I'm like, heck it, like I'll pay for it. But I couldn't do it. Even then, after paying like $16, I couldn't do it. Finally, I called the call center and they're like, okay, you pay $7 if you want me to do it, if you can't do it. So I'm like, okay, take another $7, do it. And finally, the signature was still required, right? So I'm down like $25 and I'm not going to call them and like spend 30 minutes trying to get $25. But I do feel like a little cheated. Like I'm like, hey, like I spent my time and you still required the signature or you didn't let me like change the delivery address. So similar thing would happen in Uber, like back in the original days. Like if the ride is cancelled, I would still get charged, but nobody has the time to like dispute it. You're already on the road. You want to like get to the next stop. So you don't have the time to do it. But you do feel like it's like, hey, why did you charge me like $10 for the driver not showing up? And one day, all of a sudden, I see that they have these like self-service options. So you go on help and it's no longer a chat widget. It's like, hey, do you need help with this ride? They started displaying these rides. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. It went from being like an open-ended text input to like proactively detecting what you're here for. So you click on that and it's very dynamic. So if you do that, like just 3 minutes after booking getting dropped off somewhere, they'll be like, hey, did you forget an item? Or do you want to like change the driver's rating? Right. And if it is like, few days later, it'll be about like, hey, do you want like an invoice
Totally.
for the trip or a receipt, because maybe if you're coming after 3 or 4 days, you want to file for reimbursement. So it's very intuitive and intelligent. But I was able to dispute like a cancellation fee in literally like 15 seconds. I said, this one, it determined that I was charged the cancellation fee. So it was like, do you want to dispute it? What's the reason? And I got a refund immediately. So that was the aha moment for me. And I was like, hey, why can't we create a SaaS that everybody then uses? And then I called up like a lot of people, including Uber. And I was like, hey, what do you guys think of this? They're like, if you were a SaaS before we build this out, we would have definitely used it. So there is definitely a need for it. And that was our inspiration for creating this.
I think that's an incredibly cool point of reference. Like I said, like you don't hear a lot of people in D2C talking about emulating Uber, but I totally agree. It's a great experience.
So I remember like right around Christmas time when most people normal people were like off, taking their time, chilling with family. I was like looking through our P&L, our budget for next year, and I was like, how are we going to save money? And one of the things I did is I leaned on a lot of our partners, and I remember slacking Amit from Richpanel, and I was like, what can you do? How can you help us? We had just switched to Richpanel a few months before, went really well. And I told him jokingly, by the way, I want to throw it out there jokingly, that if he could help cut about $500K from our customer service costs, I'd get a Richpanel tattoo. Well, we did that. You've probably seen a tweet. He did some AI thing of me with a neck tattoo. I'm not going to do it. Sorry, Amit, but I will talk about how much I love Richpanel, how much Amit has helped us. So we had 18 support agents before. It was a lot. It just was not scalable. We had so many people. We had this like old legacy software. It was slow, it was broken, it was expensive, and it just took too many people to operate. So we not only made the switch, but Amit and his team really helped us. Now we have 8 people and we have a much better CSAT score. Our numbers are way better. Our response times are way quicker. We're leveraging a lot of automation, a lot of AI, but again, it has not hurt customer experience. We track and I get a weekly report of our CSAT, of all of our stuff, of our NPS, and it's going up because we're actually able to get back to people, give people better answers. The automation learns from our best agents, so it just continually is getting better. We switched to Richpanel about 2 weeks before Black Friday. Might be a crazy thing to do, but it was super easy. We came out of Black Friday for the first time in 3 years with no ticket backlog. The software and support has blown us away. I highly recommend you switch. If you do it and they save you a lot of money, you should probably get a tattoo, but it's not something my wife would let me get away with. But yeah, if you're running an e-commerce brand, I highly recommend you switch to Richpanel. You'll be able to leverage their software, save money on software costs, which is great, while saving a significant amount of money on personnel costs. So if you want to go into Q4 with a leaner, smarter support setup and come out of there without this crazy ticket backlog and just make your CX team happier, go to richpanel.com/demo. Tell them Cody from Marketing Operators sent you and tell them you're ready to get a tattoo.
So maybe I'll have to do some convincing here. I want to chat revenue generating CX touch points that you're not thinking about. Cody, sounds like you're not thinking about any of them. So this might be a helpful episode for you.
But I'm always down to be proven wrong. Also, on that note, I was looking through some Slacks with Amit and I, and it did happen. I blocked it out of my memory, but I did offer to get a tattoo.
That's so funny. Dude, that's what Miami does to you. Was it specified? Would you, presumably a Richpanel logo tattoo?
Yeah, it didn't say where. So I'm not getting it anywhere visible that you can see, but
But that's the whole point, Cody. Like I want like real estate on the podcast, like every time Cody does some appearance, then the Richpanel tattoo will appear. That's
Dude,
the
I'm wearing some house swag today, so I haven't gotten any Richpanel swag, but
dude,
if you send it my way, you never know.
100%. Yeah, we'll send it for all of you guys. Please just wear it a couple of times.
I've joked about that before. That house crew neck that Cody has on is extremely comfortable. That's the best marketing you could do. Just a well-fitting hat, a comfy crew neck. House sent some sweatpants at one point. That's how you get into the hearts of marketers.
Or I feel like if somebody sent us like a really good water bottle, it would be good.
Yeah, if only we knew someone. Okay, awesome. All right, revenue generating CX Touchpoints. You know what it just came to mind during this conversation, but when McCoy was on a couple weeks ago, he said this like somewhat jokingly, but he was like, everybody's talking about incrementality right now and using geolift studies to measure the true impact of a channel. And he goes, look, a year from now, 2 years from now, we're all going to be talking about better retention, better LTV generation, things like that. And I think he's super spot on. Like if I extrapolate out 18 months, it's like, yeah, we will have gotten much better at acquisition. We'll be way more data driven. And all of a sudden, I think I'm ahead of the curve here slightly, or I think 2026 will hopefully make some progress on this, but figuring out ways that retention and CX and e-com can all work together for a great buying experience. And hopefully we'll do some holdout tests, Cody, prove that we can actually generate some additional revenue here. So I've got a small list I figured we could jam through, and then if anything else comes to mind, we could go from there. The first one, do you guys use Wonderment? What do you guys do for like package tracking?
We use Parcel Labs.
Okay.
We use like PDQ for it. They have like a similar functionality.
A similar sort of offering, because my, it's like one of our highest, they're just, you get so many clicks. From like a Klaviyo Flow perspective, it is like some of the best engaged with emails. We're driving tens of thousands of visits to these pages. These people just purchased. It's incredibly high value. It is, maybe I'm like bending the rules a little bit, calling that a CX Touchpoint, but they're very interconnected. If you're happy with the visibility that you have into your order, if you're less likely to make tickets, if you're back on the site, if you're having a great experience, I think that provides value. So we're going to look at better optimizing that touchpoint, which I think is very much a retention and CX sort of thing. Have you guys thought at all about that?
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan. I think it should definitely be done, and it's like low hanging fruit, where like it's a very good experience, and I do think providing a good experience is a good part of retention. I haven't done a holdout on it or stuff like that, but I think it's worth doing it. I think like when we talked about this with when we talked about Grun's retention, like and their SMS flow, like I would want to test the SMS transactional stuff for like a holdout, just because there's a higher cost of that.
Right.
But for email, like, you don't have to test it. I think everybody should be on some type of like the tracking providers. I really like them. Also, your tracking page is probably one of the highest traffic pages on your site.
Oh, that's the point that I'm making. For us, it is. I mean, it's not the highest traffic, but from a where does Klaviyo drive clicks, it is number one every single month.
Oh yeah, for us, it's one of the highest traffic pages. It like feels like it's a missed opportunity.
But that's what I'm talking about, dude.
So when you say optimize that page, Connor, are you saying like, hey, let's add some, like, if someone bought a wallet, let's add some like CTAs to the bottom of that page saying, hey, have you thought about rings or luggage? Like, are you trying to think through like, how do we get someone from a very like transactional, where's my package from my previous order, to start to think about shopping again? Is it like simple stuff like that? Like, how do we get them back in that shopping flow? So it's not just like a dead end loop where it's like, all right, like I know my package is coming in 2 days, X, like I'm done. It's like, no, package is coming here. And now the bottom below that's like, oh, I'm interested in rings, actually, click, and now they're shopping again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about how, I forget who we were discussing it with, but we have found at Ridge that the earlier that we have someone becoming a customer.
It was a post-pilot episode with Michael.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I was like, I knew someone else was there. Someone makes a purchase, they enter our LTV flow. So we're trying to generate that second order. That's when someone's most likely to purchase. And we found the earlier we can move that up, the more effective it is. But basically for a long time, and we're starting to make optimizations here, and I'm really excited about it going into November and December here. But they've almost been disconnected experiences, that we've got these email and SMS flows over here trying to drive that second purchase. And then we've got these Klaviyo flows over here giving you updates on your order. Incredible engagement over here, but there's no cross-pollination of like, how are we highlighting this LTV offer in the transactional flow? That transactional flow is good, and we have that compelling LTV offer. I think these things just compound on one another. So I think we'll be able to squeeze some more juice out of that whole system.
Definitely. Yeah,
two monetization ideas I have, Connor. This is actually one of your like predictions of like brands monetizing everywhere. But because I agree with you that like theoretically it is actually the best time to upsell. But I also think you have the opportunity to do like a rock network offers, like disco type thing, and just like charge a CPM for displaying other brands. And maybe it's, because maybe you find like the upsells are not that incremental for you, but you could do both or monetize the other stuff. So I think that's one. And then I think, where was I going with it? I feel like depending on when they're ordering, like there are opportunities to upsell. Like if they're like here's one where like if somebody's going to the tracking page, they might be like worried about their order. I would love to upsell like shipping protection right there. Just be like, oh, you're on a tracking page, you're worried about it, $2, and I guarantee, if something happens, we'll get it to you. I don't know, something like that. But I think there are probably some opportunities to get clever. and better monetize that traffic, or better to integrate that into your retention flows, as you said.
100%. Or even, I mean, that's where a lot of tickets end up getting created, right? If someone needs to edit their address, or they have some question about their order, when it's going to arrive, you're initiating a lot of CX touch points. We know that this is a really high volume opportunity. So, and I'd love your take on this, Amit, because I would love for our agents to be aware that, hey, this customer just purchased 2 days ago. They're asking if their order is going to arrive in time for their son's birthday. We know that they have access to this. We do 40% off $100 plus your second order. So we're going to now offer this person a great CX experience. We're going to give them visibility. We're going to answer their questions, et cetera. And we're going to turn this into a monetization opportunity by highlighting the offer we know they have available to them. Do you see many brands doing that? Am I just like stating the obvious and trying to like unite these sorts of efforts?
I think the way you're thinking about it is 100% correct. Because a lot of these initiatives are disconnected from one another, but they're touching the same customer, right?
Right.
So they're receiving these emails from transactional systems, and they're also receiving these emails from like marketing side, which is Klaviyo. But as an end customer, I might be confused because I'm receiving like multiple emails. One is a cross-sell, one is a tracking, and there's an opportunity to combine both of them so that it looks more intentional. It looks like it's coming from one entity.
Exactly.
So 100% aligned with the way that you're thinking. The way that other brands are doing it, we have something called as a agent wiki. So just like you train the AI on how to respond to customers, we also have agent assist in the right-hand side bar. So apart from seeing like what's the LTV of this customer, when did they last order, things like that populating on the right-hand side, you can also probe them to make this offer based on the conversation details.
Mm-hmm.
So not many people use it, by the way, but brands which have like more than 100 agents, they use this extensively, the agent assist. Because for them, if you change the SOP, you also have attrition in customer support team. There are new people joining. There is external BPOs. So they use the agent assist on the right-hand side to tell them how to answer certain type of questions. What are the questions? How do you troubleshoot it? What is the issue tree looks like? But they also will take input from the marketing team, and they're like, hey, what offer do I make? And it's a lot for people who have started to some brands do this quite a bit, where they discourage automatic returns, especially for like high AOV orders, and they redirect them to customer support where there is a conversation, and then they ask a bunch of questions, and then they offer something else like, hey, if this is your issue, how would I do this? How would I do that? Because you want to like lose a customer that paid you like $500 or $700. So you can use that agent assist to pitch those marketing offers or retention offers.
Totally. Yeah, it makes total sense. So that's one I'm excited about. You know, another slightly related idea of this like tracking page optimization is we just had a great little workflow between our ecom team and our CX team and our ops team so that we could delay our orders a few hours going into November and December, so that if someone, because this happens, we get thousands of tickets every year, someone saying, hey, I accidentally put in the wrong address, or there's some sort of typo. If they write in within 30 minutes and we quickly respond, we can quickly update it, but we miss a lot of those. So then you have all these missed shipments. So we just created this little delay. We set that up with Fulfill. We set that up with order editing. There's a Revo component to that. Revo connects to order editing. So it's this very nice flow between, I guess, ecom and ops that's resolving a CX issue beforehand. So anyway, more reason why I think these teams should be working closer together. And I think it's related because there's just more opportunity. You have more touch points on the site. You're driving people back. It's more self-service. You just have the ability. They could be adding additional items to their order when they're updating addresses, things like that. You just get a lot more control there.
If you are running or operating a DTC brand, the next few months, BFCM and the holidays are your Super Bowl. The question is, are you doing everything you can to maximize average order value on every single purchase? Aftersell by Rocked makes sure you are. Aftersell is the leading post-purchase optimization suite trusted by over 50,000 e-commerce brands. With one-click upsells, cart and checkout optimizations, and Rocked Thanks monetization, Aftersell helps you get the most out of every transaction without adding friction. Brands like Jones Road, Ridge Wallet, Hexclad, and Shoe Classic love it, and here's why. The data tells the story. One-click post-purchase upsell that convert up to 16% of buyers instantly. Smart checkout and cart offers that feel natural, not pushy, driving up to 30% higher AOV. And Rocked Thanks, which turns your thank you page into a profit center with premium partner offers from brands like Disney Plus and HelloFresh. HexCloud's been using AfterSell for a really long time. I love AfterSell. First off, there's no friction with AfterSell. It's all happening post-purchase. So it plugs in really, really well with your existing funnels that your team is spending hours building and optimizing. And it truly is just incremental revenue on top of orders you're already going to get. Naturally, a subset of people that have already made a purchase for you are going to see this after-sell push. There's going to be an offer that they really like, and they're going to add that product on with one click. There is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of incremental revenue happening on HexCloud every single month simply through this post-purchase after-sell up and cross-sell. And it is very easy to set up. You don't need any custom design, no custom HTML. It plugs in really nicely to your post-purchase page, and it's just incremental revenue on top of all the conversions that you're already driving. So it's really a no-brainer to set up. It's crushing for HexCloud. On average, brands using AfterSell see a 30% lift in AOV and $20,000 to $30,000 in pure profit per 100,000 orders from Rocked Thanks alone. Don't just sell more, make more from what you're already selling. Head to aftersell.com/operators to activate Rocked Thanks and get the full AfterSell suite free exclusively for Marketing Operators listeners.
I do have like a follow-up question for Cody, and that's around like, you believing that CX is not a, big revenue driver, and that might be true for many brands because, even we don't have like marketing copy that promotes it actively because it's not true for like a lot of brands. But for you, Cody, specifically, you're generating like a couple of million a month using the shade matching team that existed like for many years. Would you not say that is a CX initiative? So they just Connor, just for reference, if you go on like Jones Road Beauty, they have not sure which shade to buy, and they have like a shade matching quiz. They also promoted a lot on Instagram ads, and they're like, hey, send us a selfie. So Richpanel is full of like customer selfies that Jones Road customers are sending. And then they have like these dedicated experts that look at their skin color or skin type and then suggest what shades they should be buying. And they're driving like a lot. Those are all like, I think 70-80% of them convert into orders. So would you not say that is CX driving it? Or
I mean, it is. I think that part definitely is. I always get skeptical of like general like CX revenue stuff, right? Where like I don't know if like our agents can see that because they're like, oh, I've definitely had calls with people in the past where they're like, hey, like I'd like to talk about my promotion. I see how much revenue I'm driving for the company, but it's like, well, you don't understand like incrementality. Like a lot of those customers would have ordered anyways. They're just saying like, where's my order? Or like a quick question. And like, here's how much we spent on marketing to get that customer. Here's how much we spent on fulfillment. You know what I mean? So like, I get hesitant with that. I think I've just never been proven the actual incrementality of it. And it's just like, most CX softwares are just putting the revenue in here and saying, this is how much revenue we're driving you, because they want to be able to be like, okay, this is how much revenue our software and our program is driving you. I think shade matching is a little bit different. And I think that's, a worthwhile component. I mean, we have all of our CX team like overseas now, but we have, US based CX agents who are definitely, paid more for it and think there's a higher value. So yeah, I think there's a revenue, component of that definitely, and probably could be easily tested.
So I would bet, I bet like revenue per shade match engagement is probably like extremely high. I understand that it's probably not all perfectly incremental. The fact that you guys do it, would you guess that it is likely incremental and profitable, but just probably like at a big discount to like fully attributed revenue?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing that like we haven't known, it's like, is it worth continuing to scale that up more or not? To obviously take like the extra fixed cost to be doing that, and like that hasn't been super clear.
Do you guys ever cohort? We did this a while back. We're like, we just wanted to see like cohorted people by has never had a CS interaction, has had a CS interaction, and of course, people that have had any interaction with CS had like, I forget what the percent was, but it was a pretty significant percent increase in lifetime value. Now that's a bit self-fulfilling because people that are going to be ordering more will probably be reaching out to CS more.
True.
But we thought that was interesting just to like understand like, all right, when we do have a CS touch point, that lifetime value compared to non-CS touch point is like, I don't know what it was, 30% higher, 35% higher, which just, I guess, gave us the confidence to like keep trying to like give easy ways to get in touch with our CX team along the entire journey. Again, kind of like a self-fulfilling idea there, but I thought it was just interesting to look at that. Have you guys ever done any sort of cohorting analysis like that?
I haven't looked at it on a CX basis in a while, but I totally agree. It's a slippery slope. We did it on account creation, where it's like, yeah, if you create an account, you're way more valuable. But it's like, yeah, if you create an account, you're engaged. Like you're clicking emails. Yeah. Is it that you see the exact same thing with email? The people that open emails are worth more than the people that don't open emails. And it's like, what was email's actual role in that is like extremely questionable.
Yeah, they already had more value probably before they made the account.
For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the point that Cody is making is 100% valid. Where a lot of the people because there is a selection bias, as Connor mentioned. So there is people who were going to purchase anyways. They ended up speaking to support, and support got wrongly attributed for it, because most of the softwares, including Richpanel, the way that the attribution works is that you see whether there was a conversation that started a few hours before a purchase happened, right? So that's the way that you attribute. Like, hey, there was a conversation that started before an order was made, and there was also an agent reply that happened before the order was made, right? So if these two things are true, you attribute it to support. I think one other input that we are adding now is if you take the same conversation, you put it into ChatGPT, and you're like, hey, do you think that the agent had a hand in convincing the user to buy? Right? Just a simple probe. And the output from ChatGPT is like yes or no, right? That would help a lot, because it would field out all of these other conversations where someone is like, hey, I'm not able to access my coupon code. And then they're like, hey, never mind, found it, so I ordered anyways. And then the support gets wrongly attributed for it, because support had zero role in contributing to that sale. So that one little prompt can help you in yielding out all of this false positives by doing that enrichment. So that's one of the things that we've started to do. You can do this too inside Richpanel. There is AI enrichment, where you say, end of the conversation, give me a yes or a no on whether the agent had a hand in convincing the customer to make the purchase, right? So then you have two levels of attribution. The first one is deterministic, whether, hey, was there a sale that happened within hours of a conversation? Yes. Within a day of conversation? Yes. Second, the ChatGPT input says, yes. OpenAI says that, yes, agent had a hand in convincing this customer. That would give you the very accurate results is what we could think of.
So I think that's fascinating, because I think that's a big reason marketers can be dismissive of CX as a revenue channel, is because the attribution is so unclear. That if you just go off deterministic attribution. Also, I'll comment, hilarious, just all conversations resolve back to attribution for us. But attribution so unclear, because you're gonna have a ton of revenue that it gets attributed to CX, and it just doesn't pass the average marketer sniff test. If you said, if we were calculating ROI on our CX program by influenced revenue over cost, I'd believe it. Everything you just said makes so much more sense than just blanket attribution. So I'm on board with this approach.
Well, Cody, have you CRO'd your way into the shade matching? Because I would tell you, right? Split test, hey, this experience has the shade matching, this experience doesn't, and what's that lift? Because I would tell you what kind of incremental lift that provides, right?
What we do is we do a ton of CRO for our quizzes.
Yep.
And we've really tried to route people down that as much as possible. But almost every test we've done, and we're actively doing a bunch of these right now, the more we push people to shade matching, the better it performs.
Yeah.
Just the simplest thing. We do have an AI shade matching tool that's almost ready that we're going to test. And I think that'll be an interesting test, but it's not the same as obviously routing to people. I think that would be challenging with CRO, because usually CRO, you're measuring some type of conversion on that page. And so obviously these people aren't usually buying right away. They're, they're emailing and then buying later. So I think CRO would be a challenging thing. You'd almost have to geo that or hold out it. And I don't know if it's, makes sense. But I am curious to test the shade matching stuff. But I think our approach has been we haven't necessarily wanted to push people to shade matching just due to the bandwidth and volume. Maybe it's a thing that we should, it just hasn't felt as scalable at our volume. So it's let's help people find their shade every other possible use. And then after a quiz, if you're in a quiz flow or you take a quiz and you still haven't bought, then we're hey, you can send us an email and stuff like that.
Are you getting first party data, Cody, on ethnic background of your prospective customers? And then like, because I would imagine like certain people might have more or less need for like their subtle variance in the in the tone or shade they need. Like, is that part of your upper funnel strategy? Is like, hey, I identify as like Caucasian or Black or Latina, or like, are you getting that data and then like pumping them into funnels based on that, where you have found that maybe like for whatever reason, Latina women need more engagement with shade matching than someone with a different ethnic background?
No, we haven't taken it that deep. I think the extent of personalization we've done on quizzes, like if you take our quiz and you tell us you're a certain age, all the rest of the models in that quiz will be of that age.
Okay.
And then I don't know, like we ask people their skin tone, not necessarily their ethnicity or background. We ask their skin tone. I think we try to kind of like obviously the shade recommendations we give are going to be all based on that,
right?
But we're not necessarily, like it's not like every model you see is going to be that tone or something like that,
right? Yeah. Okay.
But that's an interesting one.
And that's in your like pop up. That's like the first touch point is like what's your skin tone. Or is that later on?
In our quizzes. It's like one of our first few. Yeah, it's like one of our first few in the quizzes.
Lately, every marketer I talk to says the same thing. The pressure's on, budgets are tight, goals are higher than ever, and I have to prove what's working, not just report it. That's the new reality of marketing. You can't afford to rely on guesses or platform reported results. You need clear, unbiased, causal proof of what's actually driving growth. And that's exactly where House comes in. Incrementality testing is the scientific way to measure true impact. It is the most unbiased way to understand true impact, to see what's moving the needle and what's just noise, so you can reallocate spend based on fact, not faith. All of the marketing operators use House for their incrementality testing at Hexclad, Jones Road Beauty, and Ridge, and it's becoming a core part of the modern measurement stack. House helps you run real experiments across your channels so you can answer questions that actually matter, like which channels are truly driving incremental revenue and which are just taking credit? How much should I really be spending on Meta, Google, and YouTube? What's the halo effect of ads on Amazon or retail sales? And how should I structure my campaign so every dollar goes towards real, measurable impact? What sets House apart is the combination of unbiased, rigorous science and marketer-friendly design. The math under the hood is very complex, but the platform itself is very, very simple. You choose your question, you launch your test in minutes, and you get clear, actionable results you can actually use. Plus, every customer, every brand gets a dedicated measurement strategist. And I will tell you what, the House measurement strategist team is very dialed in. They are very strategic, helping you set these tests up in a way where you're going to get statistically significant results that are actionable. And ultimately, there's someone who has lived in the world of growth and they know how to translate data into strategy, interpret the results, and build a repeatable culture of experimentation across your team. In a world where every marketing dollar is under a microscope, you need to know what's real. Measure what matters with House by going to house.io/operators. That's HAUS.io/operators and start allocating your budget with confidence.
All right, I've got a second potentially revenue generating CX Touchpoint. You've got all these agents answering all these social comments, some of them automated. One thing we're going to be testing over the next couple of weeks is comments from a page from our founder. So we run a lot of founders ads. Daniel Kane highlighting, hey, I started Ridge. We made this great wallet. We are going to start answering some of the comments on those videos from his own page. And I think the attribution will be extremely difficult on that. But like one of our goals as a brand is to just reinforce the like founder-led messaging and family-owned messaging. And I think that's a really cool way to like leverage more of our teams and our existing resources to just add, at the very least, thoughtful touch points. And I would imagine there's going to be some sort of incremental benefit to it. Incremental benefit and profitable, it's questionable, but like that's something else we're doing. What do you guys think?
I love it. That's a good idea.
You guys should do it with Danny.
I know we should. Well, we're trying to figure out how to like do this with partnership ads. Cause like with the software we use, like you can't comment on partnership ads the same way that you can comment on an ad from like the Hexclad branded page. So we're trying to figure out like more of a manual workflow where it's like we're linking out to every single partnership ad that we make. And that's like in parallel to just the from brand stuff that pulls right into Amplify. But we're trying to like give the actual creator the information they need to respond to these comments, but like it just never happens as you would imagine. So like we just have to be a little bit more on the ball and like keeping track of these partnership ads so we can come in and comment from our brand page on it. But we like, that's been an area we've kind of missed in the past. But I like the idea of coming in from your non-brand page with someone that's related to the brand and answering the questions. I think it gives it a lot more personal feel than like Ridge responding, which is, obviously a faceless.
100%.
That's a limitation by Meta, where the API limits you. If you do like whitelisted ads, you don't get like API inputs. That's why your software is not able to do it.
Yeah, it's actually a huge bummer when I learned that. I was like, how can this be the case? Especially when you're like so many brands are increasingly running more partnership ads that generally get a lot of new engagement and new questions because inherently they're reaching new audiences. It's like, it seems like a big hole that you can't pull those right into new softwares.
Yeah. I mean, they spent a whole day at Meta Summit just talking about partnership ads, and it's like, when do you think they realize like, hey, we should let brands moderate the comments?
Yeah. That's coming next year.
Yeah. So somebody missed the boat there. All right, I got one more here. We have a bunch of warranty claims. This is another kind of obvious one, but again, where we're trying to like unite retention efforts and CX efforts, we have a lot of warranty claims. We offer a lifetime warranty. We'll ship you new screws, elastic, new money clips, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, it's extremely transactional and it's low cost for us, and we're happy to do it. I think the customer experience does help with conversion rate at the beginning. Our lifetime warranty is a big kind of tentpole of the brand. But I think there's a massive opportunity, especially as we've expanded categories, for a CX agent to say, hey, this person needs a new money clip. I see they have a carbon fiber wallet. I'm going to offer them 20% off our latest carbon fiber pens or something like that. And I just think all of a sudden, and the reason it came up recently was we were talking about ways that we could, we were like, should we start charging for these parts and do free shipping or charge for shipping? And there's just so many ways to slice it. But the biggest thing that would turn our warranty program into like, a really lean, but definitely a cost center into like a massively revenue generating program would just be thoughtful upsell. So that's one of the other touch points that we're thinking about quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that quite a lot. Yeah. If you could have like I have like so many Ridge wallets myself, bought a lot for my team, and we also give it as swag. If we could have like an option where when I go to like say that the screw came off or something like that, and then you have like two options, like, hey, go replace the screw or like buy a new one or get a new one altogether for like 50% off or like 40% off. That would be pretty good because I get a new one, right? Like I get a new replacement.
Right. And you're a happy customer. You're like, look, I can just get the free screws. They're backing up the lifetime warranty, but I'd much rather spend $40 or $50 and get like a new cool design.
Yeah.
And I think it depends, like, right? If like that's one of your value props, like Patagonia, like I am sure that influences their retention because you just know it becomes a brand thing. It becomes a value prop, and like if there's a talking point of like, hey, I love this, and like I remember my cousin got this jacket. We were in Colorado a few years ago, and he had like a rip in it, and he went there, and so like anyone that tells him, hey, I like that jacket, and he like tells him that story,
Right.
So I think if that's like a brand value prop, like totally that becomes a marketing moment that can become like an actual, revenue driver.
That's a great example, Cody. The Patagonia, because I did the same thing, and now I have this like Patagonia puffer that's this like light blue, and now I have like two different spots that has this like purple patching. So it's just like a one of one now, and every time I wear it out, someone's like, "What? Where'd you get that?" And then I go into that exact story. I'm like, "Oh, I had holes in it. I brought it in. They replaced it." And you're totally right. Like that's really interesting word of mouth. It just like gets that conversation going. And then you end up with these like kind of one of one Patagonia jackets that look completely unique to anything else that's out there. That's a really interesting example.
Dude, yeah. And I like those are the sorts of experiences that I think are really interesting. And I think by and large by the D2C community, like not fully adopted yet. That's the sort of thing where McCoy's like, when we're talking about retention 2 years from now, like it'll be things like that. Like, how are you? Because at what point is that? At some point that's retention, that's e-com, and then there are massive amounts of CX tickets and conversations that are happening in order to like manage those. The other one that I love, have any of you guys ever been an Equinox member?
I've not been a member.
Okay, so the onboarding experience and like retention experience of Equinox is fantastic. And it's like, it's $200 a month, expensive gym. And what they do is it's all like, it's largely plain text from people. It's clearly automated and at scale. like they have a very nice CRM system, but then as soon as and they're inviting you to classes and things like that, and they're saying like, hey, you can come in and get measured and weighed, and we'll do your free 1 hour personal training since you just signed up, et cetera, et cetera. They have these offers and values that they're offering. And then as soon as you respond, then it's a one-to-one conversation. And I just think like that is such a cool and unique experience of being a member of this club. And that is like another great example of the marriage between retention and CX.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I was going to give two examples, and I'm like, is this retention or CX? So SMS sales, Postscript, like, and I think everything is going to like AI and Shopper, but like that is very incremental revenue for us. There's like a pretty big cost behind that because it's people texting all day, and that is very incremental. So like, is that CX or is it sales? I feel like that's right in the middle. We just started, we're piloting what's called a clienteling program for our stores. So I'll give you an example. I bought something for my wife at Cartier probably 4 years ago. Every quarter, I get a text from the Cartier store guy manager.
Yes.
It's like, hey, Cody, how's everything? Checking in. How's your wife doing? Like, how are your kids doing? You know? And like, I bought one thing 4 years ago, right? But like, we're in their CRM. But like, is that CX? Is that sales? So we're piloting. We're doing a holdout. Here's our holdout. We're going to do it at a few of our stores, not all of our stores. That'll be like our holdout. But it'll be a software, a CRM type software, where our team and our retail store associates and managers can go in and say, hey, Connor, it was great having you, last week. Or Connor, right. I haven't seen you in a while. Like, we just got this new product. Do you want to come in and try it out? I feel like that's the in-between, but can definitely drive revenue. I'm hoping it will.
So you guys are using Shopify as your POS system in the stores?
Yeah, we're using a software called Endear for the clienteling, but yeah, we use Shopify for that.
And then Endear plugs into Shopify? Like, are they enriching customer profiles, basically?
It's almost like a Klaviyo. It's almost like... So right. It's like there's an integration, you see if they buy, but it's like the software that's supporting like the SMS and like the actual sending of the messages and building the list.
Yeah. And I think that's what more and more of retention will look like over time. Like what you're describing with the stores is more of a traditional approach. Like years ago, they would like write it in their books and like a great sales guy would remember to follow up. Okay, that's all productized now. But SMS sales is an example of that being done at scale for all of your direct to consumer customers, which I think is super, super exciting.
How do you guys, and Amit, how do you see like this evolving over time with AI? Of course, it's like, do you see the first message being AI, like, hey, this is the best time to send it, and then a person takes over? How do you guys see this? Because what you're describing, Connor, is kind of like a high touch service.
Totally.
And it's one thing for Cartier local stores to do that because it's probably a $10,000 AOV, but at a $50 AOV for a 9-figure D2C brand, like that's not scalable. How do you see this evolving for different types of businesses with AI?
So I believe it will be completely done by AI, even though it's not being done by AI today. In fact, it will not just be the text that will be automated, but even the trigger, even the like when to send it based on what you purchased, based on your previous conversation history, it will decide like the right time to follow up with Cody should be like 2 days from now versus for Connor, it should be like 2 months from now. Mm-hmm. So it will determine based on like what your purchase was or what your previous interaction was. That's how it will determine, and it will not just customize the message, but also like the trigger and the other points. I totally see that happening.
This is one of the reasons I'm excited about signed in shopping is I think like the more kind of first party data and context you can collect on a customer will just become more and more valuable over time. Postscript talks about it with SMS sales. They want to be collecting first party data by having conversations over text. Mm-hmm. But if you're signing everybody in and really prioritizing these signed in experiences on your site, all of a sudden I can know if someone's interested in travel because they signed in and started looking at luggage despite the fact they bought a wedding band 3 months ago. So I see a convergence of all these tools over time, and we're kind of in the early innings of it.
Yeah, like we already are seeing that happen. Like we have this integration with Postscript, with Klaviyo, with Attentive, where if a customer has like an open ticket, we suppress marketing to them. Because to the end customer, what happens is like, I'm complaining about something. You've not responded to me, but 30 minutes later, you're like, hey, here's another promotion, which makes no sense. And it's coming from the same brand. The customer doesn't understand, this is marketing of Cody and this is, CX of Cody. They're just like, this is Jones Road. So they get a little frustrated that you've not responded to my query, but you're promoting more stuff.
100%. That sounds like a fantastic, like little life improvement for both
Yes.
CX teams and customers.
Yes.
All right, Amit, I've got one more question for you. Richpanel kind of founded on this idea of being AI native. What are you excited about over the next like 12 to 18 months for new AI developments, either within CX or e-commerce broadly?
So we're launching a returns portal next month. We are already in pilot with a few brands. And the reason we decided to do returns is because it naturally fits in to our current offering, current CX experience offering. And we see a lot of optimization where people are not thinking about the returns journey that much. So we are going to like allow brands to do A/B testing on the returns journey. And what I mean by the A/B testing is you'll be able to A/B test the policy, the prompts, the offer for going into exchange, and even the merchandise experience for the whole exchange flow. Like what do you show based on the product that you are returning, right? And convert like a lot of those reverse logistics cost into exchanges and more revenue for the brand. So that's the piece that I'm like very excited about.
Totally. And that's, you said next month?
Yes.
All right. Exciting stuff. 2026 is going to be a big year. All right. Anything else you guys want to cover? Or we could call that an ep, I think. Beautiful. Amit, thanks for coming on. Super, super fun.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Marketing Operators. Thank you to Amit, founder and CEO of Richpanel. I had a lot of fun talking all things CX, retention, and the future of them. Thank you to our sponsors, Motion, Richpanel, Prescient, Aftersell, and House. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, share this episode with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Leave us a comment on YouTube. We've been reading those. Review on Spotify. I would very much appreciate. And we'll see you again next week. Take care.